Hello everyone and welcome back to the SteemTrail Gaming News. Today is the 9th August of 2018. My name is Kralizec and I will be your host for the evening. Today we're going to talk about Discord, who or whom, I don't know, decided to attack or tackle Steam in selling games. So this is quite an interesting topic, as recently Discord has rolled out a few very interesting updates, more specifically the Steam-like Games tab hub, which allows you to launch games, you know, all the standard stuff you would hope to have in an app that allows you to put all your games in a single library. And it works with not only games that you can buy on Steam, it also works for games that you bought from GOG. It even works with games from Activision Blizzard. So if you're a player of a large variety of games for many different publishers, including some from that require you to use a different launcher, Discord actually becomes your ideal tool to launch these games. And now they decided to attack Steam even more. A new beta version, as reported by Variety, which is for starters going to be available to 50,000 Canadian users of the Steam Nitro subscription, has been rolled out, which allows you to buy games. And on top of that, if you do have the Discord Nitro subscription, you also get access to certain games for free as a bonus for your subscription. So, for example, the games that are there for free include games like Saints Row the Third, System Shock Enhanced Edition, Metro Last Night, or Super Meat Boy. And some of the games that are on sale include games like Into the Breach, Hollow Knight, Dead Cells, and Frostpunk. But Discord has decided to take an approach we haven't seen in a very long time. And it's actually what makes Valve's Steam the thing it is right now. They decided to aim for a very heavily curated catalog of staff pick choices. Man, do you remember the days when that was the case for Steam? That's a long time, but because Steam just got so big very, very quickly, because it included games like Counter-Strike Go, or even at that time it was just Counter-Strike Source, I think, Team Fortress 2, you know, the games that people wanted to play at that time. Anybody else who was on Steam just got a massive boost to their sales. Over time, we all know that Valve Steam's policies changed a lot, and nowadays it only takes $100 to get your game on Steam. And to be honest, that's not really that hard to actually make back. But Discord has decided to go the way it was originally. And with the fact that they now have around 150 million users, this might actually work out for them. As more specifically, they actually want to go with games that will have exclusive early game releases on Discord. And while that is a service I'm not really fond of, I prefer if the game just releases than if it's released through multiple platforms, that it's released everywhere. But yeah, it seems that this might actually be a good idea for Discord and allow them to grow their business rather than just being a communication tool, to become your all-in-all gamers app. Just that gives you everything. It gives you voice chat, it gives you video chat, it gives you screen sharing, it gives you the option to create groups of friends with their Discord servers. And now, to even buy the games there specifically. So obviously, because they're going for a heavily curated, hand-picked selection of games, that will mean you will still have to have Steam on your computer, because that will be your main source of buying games. But it could also mean that you will only buy the smaller titles on Steam, and anything big, because I'm gonna assume that big publishers will be able to buy into Discord's curated service fairly easily. Those you might actually be buying through Discord, especially if they're going to be available like a week earlier. It's a really good business model from a business perspective. From a consumer perspective, it's, I think, somewhat jerkish, because if you weren't using Discord up till this point, let's say you're an old school guy and you're still using even things like Ventrilo, for example, or TeamSpeak or something like that, it might force you to download Discord and use it if you want access to some of these games early. And I'm going to tell you, many people are willing to download an app just to have access to a game early. But from Discord's perspective, this is actually a good choice. And if we take a look away from the consumer perspective in terms that this means you have to have 2 apps installed, I think it's actually a good thing, because it introduces another competitor to Steam. And competition on the market is always a good thing, because let's face it, at the moment, Valve Steam is essentially a monopoly. I know there are other platforms where you can buy games. Probably the best well-known is Good Old Games, or GOG. And certain publishers have their own platforms. But the majority of people just buy their games on Steam. And the vast majority of games are available only through Steam. But if Discord actually manages to pull this off, of which we cannot be sure at this moment, but we will know in a matter of, I'm going to say 1 to 2 years actually. It's going to take a fairly long time to see if this is actually a success. It might actually create real competition for Steam, force them to improve their services. And not only by consumer outrage, but just by sheer competition, meaning that we will not have to wait as long to get better services from Steam. Still remember how crappy their warranty features were, or their returns features were. Their chat is, even with the update, which made it significantly better, still not ideal compared to Discord's. And yeah, there are many services where Steam could certainly improve their game. So having a competitor might actually force them to do that. But again, we will have to see, but I'm going to be cautiously optimistic about this. I want to see this happen. I want to see this be a success, just because Steam desperately needs competition. And Discord is in a position where a large number of users are already using it, and they might just pull it off. There's one more question to be pondered here. What will happen if this actually is a success? We have to keep hoping that Discord will not just become the new monopoly on the market, but I doubt that. Steam is already so entrenched on the market that that is highly unlikely. And we also have to hope that they just don't go the Steam route where they accept any and all games, because that comes with its own risks. And I actually prefer the curated route, and Steam would just be the one where you go to buy anything, while Discord would be the one where you go for specific titles. Meaning that they aren't truly like full-on competitors, but they still are competing for the majority of the same customers. And you know what? As long as I don't have to have 57 programs installed in my computer, I'm okay with having Steam and Discord installed. I have them installed anyway. They both run all the time, because Discord, that's what I'm using to communicate with people, and Steam is what I'm using to buy games. And if actually Discord manages to overshadow Steam, I might just run Discord and run Steam only when I want to buy a game that is only available through there. That might be a game changer, but again, we will have to see what actually happens. This is very early predictions, but I think they can pull it off. And with that being said, that's going to be it for today, guys. I hope you enjoyed today's show, and if you did, please consider giving us a thumbs up here on YouTube and subscribe to the channel. If you're watching on Steam, maybe you want to give us an upvote and follow the blog. Either way, be sure to leave a comment and be sure to tune in tomorrow for more gaming news, as we are a source of daily gaming news every single day. See you guys later with more gaming content.